Right, good afternoon. Good afternoon, councillors. Welcome to this meeting of the Licensing Committee. Well, you know, I'm Frank Pickett, Chairman of the committee. We'll move to part one on the agenda, please. First item on today's agenda is to sign the minutes of the last meeting held on the 12th of October. And do I have permission, please?
Can you do it there?
Yeah. So do I have permission to sign the minutes of the last meeting?
Great.
Yeah, thank you. Next is to receive apologies for absence. Are there any?
There are none, Chairman.
Thank you. Do any members wish to declare any interest in respect of the agenda item? No. And are there any questions from the members of the public?
There are none, Chairman.
Thank you. We'll now move to the agenda item, which is on page 3 of the pack. And it's a report on the Gambling Act of 2005, Statement of Principles, and it will be presented by Anna McDowell. Anna, would you like to present, please?
Thank you, Chairman. Good afternoon, everybody.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I really have a hearing.
Oh, right.
Can you pull your microphone really close to you?
I
Otherwise
can.
I'm gonna miss what
Is
you're
that
saying.
better? Yeah. Is that okay? Yeah. Right. We're here today regarding the Gambling Policy Statement of Principles. A bit of background with the Gambling Act is the Gambling Act 2005 delegates certain responsibilities to the local authority for functions such as licensing premises where gambling activities are carried out, provisional statements, which is a provisional statement is a pre-approval for maybe a premises that's going to be built in the future, regulating members clubs and minors welfare institutes, issuing club machine permits to commercial clubs, granting of permits to family entertainment centres, arcades, places that have the slot machines as we know them. We also have a responsibility under the Gambling Act to every 3 years review and publish our gambling statement of principles, and we're now at the time where we need to be doing that. It's due to be published by the end of January 2022. Prior to adopting it, we need to consult, and the consultation is carried out with local council.
Okay. Right. Okay.
I can't hear what you're saying.
I mean, I'm struggling to hear. I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't even know the name who's speaking.
Is Anna? Anna. Anna.
Yeah, we'll just let Councillor Woodliff settle in and then I'll run back over it. So it's not very often I get told I'm too quiet.
Got two ladies here. That haven't you before.
No, you're fine. Okay. Are we okay now? Carry on? Yeah. Sorry, Councillor. I'll just run over that again. The Gambling Act delegates lots of different functions to the local authority in respect of gambling activities. These include issuing of licences, enforcement, and administration of the regime for anywhere that provides gambling activities within the borough. And this would include things like arcades, betting shops, track racing, anything that we have in the borough we have to license and enforce. Then I went on to say that every 3 years, as by law, we have to consult on and review and adopt the gambling statement of principles. This was last published in January 2019, sorry, maths. Before we can adopt and publish it, we have to go out to consultation to elected members, parish councils, members of the trade, and any other bodies that may be involved in the regulation of gambling. Excuse me. For example, we would consult charities such as GamCare, Gamblers Anonymous. There's a list in Appendix 2 of your report that says exactly who we're going to be consulting on. We would ask that if you approve us for consultation, that will start tomorrow for a period of 4 weeks, and then any comments will come back to the licensing committee if there are any. I can't foresee that there will be a great deal, and I will give reasons for that in a second. If we don't get any comments, we would just ask that it goes forward to full council in January 2021. I'll just run over exactly what the changes to this policy are this time. They're very, very minimal. The changes I've highlighted through the statement of principles are the amount of local authorities, because there's been mergers and some authorities have joined with others, so that has changed. The population is the only other major thing to change, and the numbers of licensed premises. There is a further change to that following my report. In the bingo premises and the adult gaming centres, there's a change in the number of those. I'll admit, once I triple checked, I'd got one in the wrong box. Changes to the figures for unlicensed family entertainment centres, club machine permits, alcohol licensed premises notifications, and small society lotteries. There are no material changes to the gambling policy, because we will be going on as we have done for previous years. Everything else remains as it was. We've looked at the costings. We expect it to be a maximum of £150 for stationery and staff time to process this consultation, and that will be found from existing budgets. So we would recommend that today you approve it to go forward to consultation, and we will come back to you once we've carried out that process. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Yes, just a minute. Over to the members of the committee now for your comments.
Thank you, Chairman. You did mention, Anna, the population. I think we're going to be quite surprised when the 2021 census comes out. Do we not need to have mind of that?
The figures that I put in my report were the most up-to-date ones that I could find. Obviously, the census will be published, and if it is published at some point between now and the statement of principles, we will ask for that to be amended as part of it. But at the moment, we haven't had those census details, so that's the most recent one I could find.
So when the census is published, will this document be updated?
It only gets updated every 3 years, so it will remain as it stood on the date
Right.
of publication for the 3-year period after that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Stevens. Councillor Ashton.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Clearly, it's set out at paragraph 1.2 what we are required to do as a licensing authority in respect of gambling licenses and what our objectives are, which very clearly are to prevent gambling from being a source of crime and disorder, being associated with crime and disorder, or being used to support crime. Ensuring that gambling is conducted in a fair and open way, as well as protecting children and other vulnerable persons from being harmed or exploited by gambling, which, having been involved in licensing hearings and this committee for some time now, go to the very core of what our objectives, our responsibilities, our duties are as a borough council and as a licensing authority. I am quite satisfied that the policy that we have in place does exactly that. And again, having had the experience of seeing that policy in action over the last 3 years or so, I'm content that actually the policy that we have is fundamentally sound, and that we are doing exactly what we are required to do, simply refreshing it and making sure that the figures and everything else that we're recording as part of that policy are up to date and accurate. And it's absolutely right that this comes back to this committee and then goes out to consultation once every 3 years to make sure that it is fit for purpose and what the public expect and what we as councillors would expect it to be, and indeed for it to do. With that in mind, Mr. Chairman, I'm very happy to move that we send this out to consultation as per the recommendations, and I'd look forward very much to seeing what comments come back from the industry as well as other necessary parties, and would look forward to debating them in due course if indeed there are any. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Ashton. Councillor Austin.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I'm not just going to, I don't like us just nodding things through. I think we've got to think, is this correct? Are we happy with this? Because what may have been right 3 years ago may not necessarily be right now. First of all, the very first point that Councillor Stevens picked up on was saying that the borough has a population of 66,500 as detailed in the South East Lincolnshire Local Plan 2019. Well, come on, that was 2 years ago. Couldn't you perhaps just even stick in the word has a population in excess of 66,500? I mean, instead of saying that definitive number. I mean, we know it's not accurate. The other thing, unfortunately, we are well aware of is that what comes from the census itself will not be accurate, for the simple reason that the person who picks it off the doormat in many households where there are multi-families living or many people living who are not related, then that person will fill it in to the best of their knowledge and off it will go again. So I don't put too much store on the census, I'm afraid. But this definitive population of 66,500 in 2019, no, come on, can't we just cover ourselves a bit and say something like in excess of or something like that?
If I could suggest, Councillor Ashton, I would propose not putting in excess of and an estimated population.
Well, that would be better, something like that, but not exactly what's there. I did pick up one or two things that I thought, well, what does this mean? I've put down on one point, if I may go on, Chairman, I put down on the back of my paper, page 28 or 11.1, not cents. Now, why I wonder did I put that? I mean, I apologise for arriving a little bit way late and in a rush, but I had another appointment. Page 28, 11.1. I wonder what I didn't like out of that. Yeah, the Act, yes, it says generally the family entertainment centres must be operated by a person or persons having an operating licence from the Gambling Commission. The Act also provides there is a class of unlicensed. It just didn't quite make sense to me somewhere. How have some words been lost? I wondered why there was that big gap for the rest of that line. You know, does it make sense to everyone else? That bit in brackets?
I'll have you on to
Yeah, I think it's just a gap in the policy, the way that it's set it out. I don't think that means there's no intention of that. There's nothing missing. It's just a formatting error.
Are you okay with that, Councillor?
Well, I'm not ecstatic, but it's so-so. Shall we put it like that? Okay, I've got other points, but I'll let other people speak next.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Danny.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just have a few probably remarks on the matter and probably a question. My first question is, how often do we carry some inspections in the town?
Sorry, I don't understand.
Do we carry any inspections?
Inspections are carried out ad hoc on a basis that if we receive complaints or we expect that there being possible issues there. For example, we've got one at the moment where we think there are issues. We will take that on. The enforcement is reactionary at present.
Okay, just sometimes when I walk down West Street, some people that are underage, but they're going in and out. So I don't know if they gamble or not, but the people are getting to some places. That's one thing.
Is it any particular premises? I will make a note to have a look into that, and we'll perhaps carry out enforcement visits on those two particular premises and check the records.
Thank you. And I have another question. If you look at the town center at the moment, we have, I think, around 5 gambling premises. I think there's 5. There's, I think, 2 Corals, 2 William Hills. There's the Horizon. There are 5. Is there any limit on the licensing?
No,
I mean, if
there's
somebody
no,
can apply, can we just issue them if everything is fine?
yeah, there's no limit set on those premises at all at the moment.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Danny. Councillor Woodliffe.
Thank you, Chairman. My question is really to do with the, I don't turn my head when I'm looking at the microphone, so I'll try not to do that. When I look through the information, as I have done in previous years, I haven't noticed anything about language in gambling institute, gambling premises, because we live in a town where you have many languages. And it's surprising actually how many people don't speak English. I've noticed that actually even quite recently, where I've said to somebody in the shop, you go forward or you first, and they looked at me blankly. Clearly, they haven't understood English, and it's a hidden problem, I think, in this town, in as much there are quite a few people in this town, even quite young people, who don't speak English or don't understand it. So when I'm thinking about the perhaps information that's supplied by gambling premises, is that information that was supplied to customers, over that way, in English only, or is there any specification inside the Act that they must consider other nationalities? That's quite important, I think.
Yeah, there's no specification in the Act for them to do that, as with the Licensing Act. There's no requirements. It is something that I would be quite happy to work with gambling premises on going forward and see if we can perhaps, like we do with the licenses, we have community alcohol partnership. It might be something that we could tag on to that to just get that information out for them and just give them some advice. So as a proactive proactive sort of initiative is probably a better word for us to carry out. That's certainly something I'd be happy to look into.
Chairman, can I come back? Yes.
Yeah.
I think this is very important. I think that's a very good idea. I like the idea of working with people rather than making, well, the regulations are necessary, aren't they? But it's always best to work with people if you can. But I do think there is an issue here. In any of these gambling institutes, and probably in a place like Horizon, which is, there's some gambling machines, I think. Never been in there, but I suspect that's what it is. And those places tend to be attracted to quite young people. Now, most young people probably can speak English, even if they may not be able to read it. So I think there is a problem here. We need to make sure that people are aware that the premises will have certain guidelines up, mainly to discourage abuse of the system, basically. People to be respectful of how much money they can spend. And it's therefore, I think we need to make sure that the premises do have something up which people from other languages, other countries, other nations are able to access. So they know they have to be 18 to be in there, for instance. Yeah.
I completely agree with what you said. Yeah. And it's certainly something that I will look at moving forward for you.
Thank you very much, Lee. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Stevens.
Thank you, Chairman. Chairman, I would like to second Councillor Ashton, if I might, please.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you. Councillor Wellborn.
Thank you, Chair. There's one part of it's 12.1 regarding casinos. We have a new venue opened up in one of the villages, and it is advertising a casino as part of its venue. It's a very expensive venue and a very luxurious venue, but I was just wondering, as it says we don't sort of currently license casinos, where they stand on this point. Thank you.
I think I know exactly which premises you're referring to. It's a holiday rental, isn't it? Yes, they're not running a casino. They provide a casino table for guests that book the entire premises to use on. It's like you and I sat playing cards at home. So yeah, we've looked into that and we're satisfied that they're not running a casino. Yeah.
Right, anybody else got anything to say? Councillor Austin.
I just stray slightly and see if anyone can answer or make comment. How much of a gambling problem do we have in Boston or the wider borough of Boston? And is there any age group in particular? You know, have we got any data on this at all? It would be quite interesting to know, because we've obviously got to make sure that, you know, the right people are being, if possible, weaned off if it is a problem, you see. I think some of us live in a perhaps quite naive sort of society. I'm sure I do at my age, in a little bubble somewhere, and I don't know. So, you know, is anyone able to enlighten me at all, please?
I'm afraid we don't actually have any statistics on how severe a problem it is or isn't at the moment. I think gambling certainly over the last sort of 7 or 8 years has become a little bit more of an issue because of online gambling. So I think the number of gambling premises doesn't necessarily reflect the size of the problem when you can quite comfortably sit in your own living room and spend hundreds of pounds through an online bookies. Certainly we do consult the charities that deal with gamblers' addictions. And we would expect that if they feel that there is a significant problem, they would come back to us with that, and we have to take them as the expert in that particular area on our consultation. But I'm afraid I can't offer you any particular figures.
Thank you, Councillor Austin. Councillor Alton, Danny.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just following up on Councillor Woodliff, because as we know, most of the nightclubs, they have the act that under no 18 can access. Can we probably use something similar to that and probably have it at the doors of the gambling premises? That's one thing.
I don't think we can force them into doing it, but we would certainly encourage them to follow the same lines as people do with the Licensing Act, and maybe have in place a Challenge 25 policy, whereas anybody who looks to be under that age is required to provide proof of their identity with their date of birth and a photograph. We can't force them into it, but we can suggest it as best practice, which will be part of, when we move forward with this initiative, that is something that we will request that they choose to do. And if they're not doing anything that they shouldn't be doing, then they should be happy to accept that.
So if I may ask, what's the minimum age? Is it 18 or?
18 is the minimum age for gambling.
The other thing which is I want to touch on, which is probably when you pass by the gambling places, usually you will find groups of people smoking. And I think most of their ashtrays outside, they're broken and people, they're just littering outside. We have an issue in Boston, which is fly tipping, littering, spitting. Can we not work with these premises in Boston and probably come with sort of some solution for them to create a better probably ashtrays on the outside and make people aware that, I know they're out of the premises. They may say it's not up to us, it's up to them. But if we can just get to probably in the middle and see what we can do, it will make things better, because the perception of our constituent or the residents of Boston, sometimes they get afraid because there's a group of 4 people playing in, coming and smoking, getting in, coming out, and people, they get intimidated. Can we do anything about that?
Again, it's not something that we can force them to do, but I often find that put the suggestion forward, they're normally quite happy to accommodate that. So I will tie that in with the age provisions and the languages on. Sorry, took me a while to get. Yeah, so I will tie it all in, and we will make it an initiative where we suggest all these and try to work with them. It may be something that we get environmental enforcement involved in as well. So if they start handing out a few fixed penalties for people chucking their cigarette ends on the floor, it'll sharpen the mind not to do it. So I'll speak to Jen Moore about that.
Thank you very much. I'll appreciate if you can do that just to make us feel better. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Anton Day. Councillor Wellborn.
Thank you, Chair. It's a bit in sort of reply to Alison's question. I know from AdAction that there is no significant increase in sort of gambling in the area as to what it was sort of 2 years ago, but there is a significant increase in online gambling, which is a bit more difficult to regulate. So I don't think we've got a huge issue, but I think it's sort of the same as it's been for the last 2 or 3 years. Is that all right, Alison? Well, obviously they're all 18, but I think unfortunately the age of the people gambling as such at bingo and online bingo is sort of the 40s to 60 age group, and the sort of online gambling for horses and things like that is the 20s to 40s.
Thank you, Councillor Wellborn. Are there any more speakers, please? If none, Peter.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just for Pippa, if we can make these some slight amendments just for the record from the report. There's some year changes that we need to make. So from page 3, second paragraph, that 2021 should be 2022. Page 4, under reasons for recommendations, again, it says January 2021, that should read 2022. Yeah, Page 3, second paragraph, a revised statement of principles by law. It should read 31st of January 2022 and not 21. Reasons for recommendations on page 4. Again, it reads January 2021 and that should be 2022. The very last word on 1.3 on page 5. Again, that should be 2022 and not 2021. If I can, page 7, under the conclusion, second line, again, there's a January 2021, that should be 2022. And again, page 7, under legal, second line, another 2022 instead of 2021. And then the final one I've noticed is page 11 on the appendix, where it says adopted and published. Again, we need to obviously put the dates in, but it should be 2022 and not 2021.
I do apologise for that. I've obviously had 2021 stuck in my brain throughout the report, so sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Peter.
Page 16. What's your highlighted on page 16?
Oh, that's the dates that our consultation will go out. So this will be, these blanks that will be filled in for the final statement of policies.
But thank you for pointing out 310 should be 2022 because it won't go to full council until next year.
Yeah.
So yes, thank you for that. That
you.
should be 2022 on 310.
We propose to start the consultation. The consultation documents will go out tomorrow, hopefully, and then we'll give them 4 weeks. So that'll come in round about the middle of December.
Right, thank you. No more questions or alterations. Go to recommendations, please.
Thank you, Chairman. So the recommendation is that we recommend that the committee resolves that the draft statement of principles be consulted on as requested under the provisions of the Gambling Act 2005, and that following the consultation, the final draft Gambling Act statement of principles will be brought back to licensing committee for approval, with the recommended statement be referred to full council for adoption. We would ask, though, if we don't get any comments back from the consultees, that we can just move it forward to full council. So if it's accepted by the trade as it stands, then we just bring it to full council, please.
Yeah. Councillor Austin.
Sorry about this, because I've got my notes on the back of the paper, you see, so I keep on looking. Can someone enlighten me? At the bottom of page 31, 15.12, what's an area? There's the area subject to the 5 times rule. What does that mean? Does anyone know?
I think it's how many times the horses or dogs run round the track. Oh no, maybe not. Maybe not. 5 times rule. Betting rings. I can look into it for you and get back to you. I'm not an expert on track gambling.
As it says, commonly known as betting rings. And it must be, you know, it just.
Not a gambler, but my dad was, unfortunately. It does apply to the amount of sort of people who take the bets. There's only a certain amount allowed on the sort of courses at any set one time, if that helps.
I don't know.
Can I ask you a question, Councillor Wellborn? Is that why when you go to the races, you get cordoned off areas with 5 bookies? Ah, thank you.
Yeah, yeah. All the ghosts coming out of cupboards. Yeah, any more questions? So it's been proposed by Councillor Ashton and seconded by Councillor Stevens to accept the gambling policy. Thank you. So, right, that concludes our business of the day.
Sorry, Chairman, you need to vote.
Oh, sorry. Can we go to a vote, please?
That's unanimous, Chair. Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry, my mistake. Right, so as I said, that concludes the business of the day. And thank you for your attendance.
Sorry, Chairman again. Pete.
Yeah. No
Sorry.
problem. So now I'm going to Peter on, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If members could refer to the document that I've put on your desk, which is highlighted with the blue and red at the start. This is the document that we agreed at the Licensing Committee from the 12th of October for the Department of Transport statutory taxi and private hire vehicle standards. At that committee, we resolved and agreed that some subcommittees would be formed to actually go through the areas that we need to have a discussion on and agree for the changes to the vehicle standards policy. What we've done, we've given you the document again that we highlighted as Appendix 2 for the last meeting, so hopefully you will recognise that report as our green, amber and red document of the areas we need to consult and discuss. We've now actually added 2 more colours on there, and there's a blue band and a pink band. And our proposals are that the areas that's highlighted in blue, and if I move to one to show you an example of one so you can see what it looks like, oh sorry, it's not numbered. Yes, that's it. So the one that's got the blue in the 3rd column, anyone that's got a blue column like that, that will be discussed at the first licensing subcommittee, which will be held on Friday, the 10th of December. Pippa will also put out meeting invites to everyone and communicate this out after this meeting. And the ones that's highlighted pink, they will go to the 2nd licensing subcommittee on Tuesday, the 25th of January 2022. And they are the areas that we'll be discussing and asking for your consultation on during those meetings. Anywhere there is a white and no colour in that 3rd column, they're just areas that we will be bringing to the final licensing committee when we do the final paper on the 15th of March, and there is already a meeting scheduled for that date anyway. So just to repeat again, blue, that'll be for the first licensing subcommittee to be held on Friday the 10th of December. Again, as members asked, could it be a hybrid meeting? So we're thinking that that will be back at municipal buildings, and then we'll have the teams available on the screen from there. The 2nd subcommittee will be on Tuesday, the 25th of January. And again, that will be a hybrid meeting back in the committee room, meeting room of the municipal buildings, and hybrid. Pink. Yeah. I do apologise. It does look a bit like reddish, doesn't it? Sorry. 25th of January, the pink ones. Yeah. And then basically we'll bring in everything back, including the ones that's got no colour in that 3rd column, because they're just areas we need to change in the policy to bring back to members. And that will go to the full licensing committee on the 15th of March, where hopefully then it can be ratified and signed off as completed and all the consultations done. Happy to answer any questions members may have at this time. Yeah, Pippa will communicate this out, but blue is Friday the 10th of December. And Pippa will confirm what the best time will that be with members. That's the subcommittee 1, and subcommittee 2 is Tuesday the 25th of January. And I think it was to give members the opportunity to see what's going to be discussed at each subcommittee and decide whether they would like to attend both or one or the other. And hopefully this gives you the opportunity to see what will be discussed at each committee to make that decision. And obviously we would hope that you all come to all of them, because we would value your views and comments on those. I can, yeah. The second licensing subcommittee, so the pink shade, is Tuesday the 25th of January 2022.
If I can just jump in there, the time is completely up to the committee, whether you'd want it in the middle of the day like this one or at night, whatever's best for you guys.
What do we all think?
I prefer a morning.
Councillor?
I'd be happier with daytime, just appreciating that it'll be running into things, parishes and things.
Hmm.
It is, yeah.
So mornings or evenings or afternoons? Mornings, afternoons or evenings meetings?
I don't mind morning or afternoon, preferably.
I prefer afternoon, to be honest.
Afternoon will be fine, same time. I think 2 o'clock
Okay.
is perfect for everyone. And if we have anything else to attend, probably at 6 o'clock we can do that. Or if we have anything even at the county, it starts 10 o'clock. So probably by 1 we could be finished and we'll be here. That's my opinion.
Okay. So, what's the final verdict? How are we going for? Mornings, afternoons? Yeah, 2 o'clock, yeah.
I'm not precious whether it's 10 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I really don't mind. If I can make it, I can make it, and I'll be here.
Right. Can we go for afternoons then, please?
Thank you, people. If we go for 2 o'clock on both subcommittees, please.
Yeah, thank you. Right, so that now concludes